So Lorraine, do you know, being a carer, sometimes it's really simple. You just want to talk to somebody else who's a carer and just share that experience.
Absolutely. It makes you feel that you're not alone, and that sharing experience can be really valuable in terms of boosting your self-esteem and making you that much better a carer.
And you can kind of just go straight into what's going on right now without having to explain what being a carer is.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
you can just kind of share that experience. But also, I think we both appreciate also sometimes you just want to be able to sound out and talk about what's going on. And sometimes you want advice.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, initially, sometimes I just want to say, have you got time to listen?
Yeah.
And then the person, the other person then just knows just to be there, hold that space for me, really, so I can let go of today.
It's just like a sounding board, you just need to
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And it kind of really de-stresses you when
Yeah.
you've done that, doesn't it? It makes you feel so much better.
Create that space.
Everything goes back into perspective, doesn't it? And then you can start to see things, kind of clearly again and take it from there. I think it's also really good, I think, to share with other people who are a bit further along in the carer experience and, learn, as you say, practical things that they've learned along the way that you can put in place. But I think it's also good, you feel good as well when you can share your experience and help somebody else, can't you?
Absolutely.
It does a lot to boost your self-esteem.
Yeah, you're so right. It just sometimes in these conversations, it's like that understanding. Okay, that's so that realization for yourself, and then likewise, just sharing your experience, but you're learning at the same time.
Exactly, that's
It's kind of creating a reserve of information for the future, perhaps.
Absolutely, yes. It might not be relevant at the time, but quite often later on it comes into play. I think it's also as well about feeling it's a safe place to let go of your emotions, because people understand where that's coming from, and it's obviously, it feels quite confidential because the person's experiencing the same thing as you, and I think you've also got that trust with them because they've been walking in your shoes, really. So
yeah, it's that unconscious trust. It's just a knowing, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
It really is.
Yeah. I know we spoke earlier about having a possible contingency plan. If you work with other carers or you've got other carers within the family, it's good to plan ahead, and have that sort of safety net, so that if anything should go wrong, you've got somebody there that can step in and take over the reins.
Yeah.
It gives you that sense of security that everything will be okay if there's a kind of crisis that you don't expect. And I think it's not something everybody thinks about.
No, and it was a really useful conversation for me because I've been able to make use of that straight away.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you think about immediate family, you think about yourself, and then sometimes it needs to be somebody just close to it in the vicinity.
Yeah.
But having that conversation ahead of time.
Yeah.
But these conversations they're so useful because it's support. It's sometimes it's signposting.
Yeah.
Oh, did you know?
That's right.
How do you? Just things came up and you don't expect, which is just so helpful.
Absolutely. And I think we're just all really bad at listening to all the negative comments in our head, aren't we? And people are really good at turning that round, by pointing out all the positives that you do as a carer and getting you to look at things in a more positive way.
Yeah, because it's so personal to us. And we're there. So having that ability to let it out and it's being witnessed. And like you said, people can see the other perspective and make you aware of what where you're doing a great job.
Yeah, absolutely. I think also with the resilience stuff, I think it's really good. You can do that together. Sometimes, if you live locally beside somebody or if it's within the family, you can then actually sit down and de-stress together, sort of doing a sort of mindful exercise or whatever. I think you don't always have to do it on your own, it can sometimes
a shared experience.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And even when seeking out, if there's a kind of an opportunity to do a little bit of training, because it's doing it together.
Yeah.
Sometimes, because going into the unknown sometimes, can be a bit apprehensive, but sharing that experience or the apprehension, doing things together, really great.
Absolutely. I think it's also the fact that people can, if you get in touch with other carers and you make a kind of never have found yourself.
Yeah.
It's what we find at Dementia Carers Count, isn't it? People are coming through word of mouth, you know, that somebody comes on the course and then they actually pass that on to other family members or friends, and before you know it, you've got a stream of people that are all linked together.
Yeah, because we all have our own unique experience.
Yeah.
So and it's just sharing that information because it's so helpful.